Okay, a quick 2-minute toolbox on working out how much clearance you need. This time we're going to be using a 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard, and the shock absorbing pack pulls out 4 feet. Okay, away we go. We have a person, he's 6 feet tall. Let's drop him. He's got a 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard. This guy's tied off right opposite his D-ring. D-ring, dorsal D-ring, has to be right in the middle of your shoulder blades. This is the only D-ring that you're allowed to use on a harness to tie off for fall arrest. And fall arrest is when actually something catches you. So let's drop him. He's got a 6-foot long lanyard. He's going to drop, well, a full 6 feet first. That's just the length of his lanyard. Now he has a shock absorbing pack, right? Starts out this big. That one can pull out a full 4 feet. Let's pull it out 4 feet. Perfect. Now there's also something called D-ring slippage. Again, your D-ring starts right in the middle of your shoulder blades. That D-ring, when you fall on your harness, slips right up to the top of your head, right? So basically the end of your snap hook from your lanyard is right at the top of your head. So, here's your head. So now we need to know your height, which we said was 6 feet. Perfect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to throw an additional 2 feet, what we call a safety margin. All right. Now, I want to know what his clearance is from the bottom of his platform down. Now, we almost have all those numbers, but we need this number right here. But we can figure out this number, okay? If you're 6 feet tall, your D-ring is approximately 5 feet above the work platform. Okay, if you're tied off right opposite your D-ring, that means you got 5 feet of your lanyard above the work platform, and you have about a foot of your lanyard below your work platform. All right, now let's measure from here down to here. 1, 4, 6, and 2. Well, that is 13 feet. So, 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard, 4-foot long shock absorbing pack. You're 6 feet tall, you tie off right opposite your D-ring. You're going to need 13 feet of clearance from the bottom of your feet. Okay, let's go check, see if you're 5 feet tall. Same again, 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard, tied off. The exact same height as your D-ring. Drop them down. So your lanyard length is 6 feet. Now we can go to this step here. If only 5 feet tall, that means that their D-ring height is approximately 4 feet, so you got 4 feet of your lanyard on top. And that means you have 1 foot or 2 feet of your lanyard on bottom. Okay, then you got that shock absorbing pack, which is 4 feet. Then you got that D-ring slippage, which means the snap hook's gonna be right at the top of your head. This person's only 5 feet tall, and you throw in that safety margin to 2 feet. Let's add it from here to here. 2, 4, 5, and 2. Well, that's 13 feet. Look at it as unlucky 13. Basically, if you're tied off right opposite your D-ring, right at shoulder height, right, and you're using a 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard with a 4-foot long shock absorber, you're going to need approximately 13 feet of clearance from the bottom of your feet. So, as long as you have that number in mind, 13 feet, you can use that number, right? Let's say you only have 10 feet of clearance from the bottom of your feet, from your work platform, which is pretty usual, right? Well, you know you need 13 if you're tied off right here. Well, then that means you have to go up an additional 3 feet, right? Okay? And if you go up 3 feet, well, now you only need about, 10 feet of clearance. Okay? Well, that's what a 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard was engineered to do. Protect you and catch your fall at 10 feet. Let's say that we wanted to use a 4-foot long lanyard, because you can still use this number. For a 6-foot long lanyard, shock absorber extending out 4 feet, you need 13 feet of clearance if you're tied right opposite your D-ring. So let's say you only have a 4-foot long lanyard now. Okay? How much clearance would you need? Well, you would need 2 less, right? Then you would only need 11 feet of clearance, so you just minus that 2. Once you have that unlucky 13 in your head, how much distance you need tied off right opposite your D-ring, right, with a 6-foot long shock absorbing lanyard with a shock absorber above 4 feet, you could use that number. Thanks. Log on and prosper, everybody.